So welcome back from the break. Let's look at the BRICS Summit, which is happening in South Africa. My colleague Blessed Sogan is there with us. But first, let's look at how the BRICS and all of that, all of what they stand for, what the intent is, and what is the focus of this particular meeting. Now, so if you ask yourself what is BRICS, BRICS stands for a coalition of countries. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS includes these 5 countries. Now, this was founded in 2009 as an informal club to challenge US and Western dominance. So that is the purpose. They want to challenge the dominance by the US and the Western countries. The BRICS, so let's look at the capacity of this union. The BRICS collectively constitute a quarter of the global economy. So if you divide the global economy into 4, BRICS takes 1 of that. The BRICS makes up over 40% of the world's population. So if the world's population is 100 million, BRICS alone has 40 million of that population, and we are 8 billion people, so do the math. Now, their focus includes economic cooperation and increasing multilateral trade and development amongst the member states. 5 of them: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which is in Africa. So which nations want to join BRICS and why? We understand that over 40 countries have expressed interest in joining the forum, according to 2023 summit chair, South Africa. That's why the summit is happening in that country this year. Now, we understand that Iran has submitted their interest to join. Argentina, Cuba, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Bolivia, Comoros, Ethiopia. All of these countries have expressed interest in joining BRICS. So it tells you that BRICS is probably doing something right. So why do these countries want to join BRICS? According to what we understand, they view BRICS as an alternative to global bodies. They also believe membership will unlock benefits, including development finance and increased trade and investment, because you know what China is doing now, you know what Russia is doing. And when you bring on board India, which is a very large economy, you look at South Africa, which is a powerful player in Africa and the international geopolitics, it tells you that all of what they are looking at is something that is worth it to try, because they think when you join them, there will be increased trade and investment to you. So these are some of the reasons why these countries want to join the BRICS now. And the summit is happening in South Africa because it is the chair for this year. My colleague Blessed Soga is joining us for a conversation from South Africa. Now, Blessed, first of all, has the summit started or it hasn't?
Well, Grace, it's good to be connecting with you from Johannesburg here in South Africa. But the 15th BRICS Summit is underway. Just last night, the president of the South Africa, Cyril addressed the nation, indicating that the country is ready to host over 50 leaders who are expected to be a part of this summit. Now, this summit is very important, knowing that the geopolitical issues and matters relating to economic and financial reform is key on the agenda for the world. We know that after the COVID-19 pandemic, many countries have been trying to explore which looking for new alliances to boost economic, rebound, and also to ensure that the world is a safer place for all. It's a reason for which BRICS, which usually and traditionally was the ally of Brazil, Russia, India, and China, as well as South Africa. They're beginning to rethink and to reshape this multilateral body to include the rest of Africa, and not just Africa, but they're now seeking to do an outreach, which we see more and more countries applying to be a member of the alliance. The alliance is very critical because if you look at some of the members, we have China. China was relating a key trading partner to Africa, not just Ghana, because if you look at the trading figures of China, there's a clear indication that this is a country that is straight the continent. So that suggests that these are the reasons for which the multilateral framework is seeking to do what it calls an outreach together with more African countries to participate in the BRICS. So that would be a new alliance that will shape development, that will inform growth. It's the reason for which we're here, stating and the governments that you need to know about. First of all, the activities that South Africa is up to, and how they're intending to leverage on the BRICS to also influence growth across the African continent. Just last night, the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, also indicated that there are concerns that some development in West Africa is happening, which it's not being helpful when it comes to growth and trade and investment of the continent. We know that Ghana is the host of the African Continental Free Trade Area. However, the recent developments of is beginning in the works of Cyril Ramaphosa to threaten, the advancement of that framework. And it's the reason Africa says they're willing to work with the African Union to support countries which recently experienced task. And once they do that, every country across the continent will be on a path to constitutional law, which will now provide a framework for international trade and financial growth. So these are some of the issues coming up already ahead of that summit. There's the issue as to whether or not the Russian president Vladimir Putin will be part of this engagement. He has confirmed participation, except to say that according to the president of South Africa.
Well, Blessed, if you could reposition yourself for us, we'll be grateful so we can really have a clear feed from where you are. There seemed to be some interference in sound from where you are. So if you could reposition yourself a bit so we could have a clear sound from your end, it will be grateful because you're giving us some very good information about what's happening, but there is an interference in your sound from where you are. So if you could reposition yourself a bit for us, it would be a great deal for us and the viewers. Let's try again. So how is South Africa itself gearing up for this summit? All right. So for those of you who just joined us, the question you probably may be asking yourself is, so what is BRICS? Let's share with you what we do know about BRICS. Now, BRICS is, an association or a union of a sort of 5 nations. So we have Brazil, we have Russia, we have India, China, and South Africa. And this union was founded in 2009 as an informal club to challenge US and the Western dominance. So they were tired of our US was just, moving everybody along. So they decided to form this one to challenge them. Now, these countries form a quarter of the world's population, So if you join the world together, they make 1/4 of the world. They are so that's what it is. I mean, they constitute a quarter of the global economy. They make up 40% of the world's population. Their focus includes economic cooperation and increasing multilateral trade and development amongst member states. Now, we understand other countries want to join them. Over 40 already have, submitted interest to join them. We understand that Iran has submitted interest to join. Argentina has also done the same. Cuba has. Indonesia has. Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Democratic Republic of Congo. We have Egypt. We have United Arab Emirates. We have Bolivia, Comoros, and Ethiopia. And Blessed Soga has rejoined us. Okay, so we are trying the lines to get him back. But in the meantime, to other stories now. Land Commission is this afternoon responding to a study conducted by the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime in 2021, which showed that the Lands Commission was the most corrupt institution in Ghana in 2021. The data showed the top bribe-taking institutions in Ghana, with Lands Commission officers collecting the biggest bribes among public officials in Ghana. The Lands Commission, an agency under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in the study showed that officials at the agency take cash bribes with an average bribe size of 1,669. The Ghana Police Service is at the 12th position. Now, I've been speaking to the Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, James Kobina Datson.
Well, we are responding to this because of the publicity that it has generated recently. I recall last year granting an interview to a media house and informing them that we think that the way the research is conducted, there should be another approach to this. That when you want to bring out something into the public domain, you also aim to help us to correct what we are doing, which is not right. And so if you come and you have an engagement and we are not aware, and the first time that we become aware is when it goes public, there may be some inaccuracies in the report. So as you know, when auditors, for example, go around to do auditing, there's something called an exit conference. So they will meet management, and then some of the issues, of course, they may not be expert in our field. So there will be the need for some clarification. Some of them are not acceptable to them, so it goes all the way to Parliament. The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament will have to invite us for us to address some of them. Some of them, by the time you are meeting the Public Accounts Committee, you would have even resolved them. They will ask the auditors, and then they will confirm that indeed the matter has been resolved. So these are the approaches that we would recommend that they be adopted. As I said in my presentation, we are not defending our staff because findings, but there should be some kind of engagement. As I said, every staff in the office is properly identified. You will see my name, you will see my rank. And so if somebody is out there soliciting and the person is not a staff, and you go and transact with that person and the person takes money from you, then these researchers come and then they interview you. Say, oh, I went to Lands and somebody took my money. And it is all about Lands Commission as to who they spoke to, whether the person is an official of the office, whether the person is a goro boy or an estate agent. It is very difficult for us to determine. And we think that they have to take a second look at that approach, that if we are involved, they should let us know. If those people too are involved, they should let us know. Then we can find a way of getting rid of the bad nuts amongst them. But we want to encourage the public that it's an office, it's a public institution, and we have the structures to deal with your complaints, that people should be able to come to us across the country so that not only to access our services, but also to ensure that the right thing is done. I said also that we think that technology can help eliminate some of these things. If, for example, you can make your payment online using the Ghana.gov platform, you don't have to pay bribe to the computer. You just have to pay the exact amount and your receipt will be printed for you. You attach it to your document and submit it. So there's no bribe here. You just pay the exact amount that is assessed for you. These are statutory fees you pay, and then the processing is done for you. And so that these experiences that people have, we think that they are not acceptable. Let's look at it again, and I'm sure we'll have a better and a more productive report the next time around that they do such a research. Who took the bribe? If there's evidence that the person is a staff, you can see my tag and my name on it clearly. If you think that you want to help us solve a problem, you have to report. Sometimes somebody will tell you that, oh, I came to the office and somebody tried to take money from me. Okay, who attempted to take money from you, or who took your money? They go silent because they don't want to expose people. They don't want to report people. But we are helping to build our society. We are helping to have a better lands commission. So if somebody misbehaves, please let us know. And the other thing too we do, when we recruit new staff, we give them detailed orientation so that they know the do's and the don'ts. If you do something that is wrong, as I said, you will face the law. We will interdict you. We have a disciplinary committee. All of those things. Of course, if we are disciplining somebody, it may not come out in the public domain. But we are not sleeping. We are dealing with such situations as and when they come. But I want to say that a lot of these things that are going on don't directly involve our staff. They involve people who have made it their business. They go out there. They are in the chief's premises, facilitating sale or purchase of land, and then they will continue and say, oh, I will take it and go and register it for you. So they are all over the place. What we are saying is that the technology that we were embarking upon, we want to ensure that all of these things become a thing of the past. That if for example, the bank can do online search before they grant a mortgage, if the chiefs have the right staff in their secretariat to prepare the land documents and give it to you to come and register, we don't think that these people will be needed. In any case, what we are also doing under the estate agency law is to ensure that these facilitators, because it's a profession. Surveying is a profession. Estate management is a profession. Estate agency or facility management is a profession. That these people are well trained. These the lawyers, there are other professionals in this field, surveyors, who have their own fixed addresses, who can be contacted. If there's a problem, you can go to them. Not the people who sit under the tree and they take your document, they have no fixed address, and when there's a problem, you cannot even find them. They go underground. So we think that moving forward, that is another way to go, that we have people who are trained, who can handle documents on behalf of the public. Because the reality is that you are journalists, it's a profession. Land administration is also another profession. So you don't, as a layman, you may not understand. We think that the services of these professionals must be used so that, we all speak the same language. The man submitting the document understands what we do, and we also understand and appreciate where he's coming from. Then together we can help resolve all the challenges that are associated with land transactions and things of that nature. It is not about being victimized. We are building our society, and we think that the only way you can help us is to expose the wrongdoing, and we will deal with a situation like that. We haven't had a situation where, because somebody has reported a staff or an agent, then that person is victimized. It rather gives us an opportunity to deal with your case the way it is expected, and so there's no victimization here. We don't do that. All we want to do is do what is right. We expect the public, please help us to know who is doing what is wrong, and then we will also be able to render better services to you.
But if you allow the goro boys to be on your compound, because that's you have your office, you know the people you work with. So if you allow them there, someone who doesn't know your staff will come and deal with them. So that you cannot exonerate yourself completely from what's happening.
Yes, that is true. Even the infrastructure, the office arrangement that we have today, where we have offices scattered all over the place, if it's an office where there's one gate and there's one entrance, it will be easy to deal with the people who are coming there and they have no business coming to our premises. But we have a situation where the way the offices are scattered, people just come in anytime. And mind you, it's a public office. So sometimes it's difficult to say, hey, you go away or you don't come here. The man can come holding his briefcase or his laptop, and he's saying that I want to come and do a search. I want to come and do this or that. So you don't just drive people away. You must have a reason to drive them away. And these people, they come in there, haven't gone to take documents from other people. Sometimes they will stand outside the premises and they'll be watching. They see that, oh, somebody is coming there. Obviously, the person doesn't even know where he's going. Then they will cash in and say, oh, can I help? And then they go in there, and this is where the trouble begins. And so it is not a question of, oh, you know these people, and why don't you drive them away? They don't come there pretending or behaving as if they are not holding anything. They come there and they are coming to transact. And it's a public office. You cannot drive them away. So that is the difficulty that we have. But we are saying that in the shortest possible time, technology is going to aid us, that the owner of a document is the one who will come and transact, that there will be no need as a result of technology for any middleman to come in. That where middlemen will come in, they will come in as proper trained estate agents representing their clients, like lawyers do, like any other professionals do. So that is where we are aiming to get to.
All right, so if you go to the Lands Commission and someone takes money from you, report it. That's what the Lands Commission is telling us today. But let's talk about the economy now, focusing on the Bank of Ghana and find out whether or not before the IMF deal, what really happened to the debt exchange program. Isaac Kofi is with our data and research team, and he joins me in studio with some more analysis on that. Kofi, what does the data say?
Right, so Brace, so we know that because of our unsustainable debt situation, that was a reason why we had to do the domestic debt exchange program. And without that, there was no way we were going to get that $3 billion bailout package from the IMF. And so we had to do this both at the external level and at the domestic level. So let me take you through the domestic level, the target. So before the first target or the initial target of this DDEP was 137 billion Ghana cedis. That was the total amount we were aiming to restructure to come back to that 55% debt to GDP ratio, which the IMF deems sustainable for us to get the program. And then we realized that government did a number of revisions in terms of this target. And so that 137 billion Ghana cedis was revised not once, not twice, but 3 times, from 137 now to 97.7 billion Ghana cedis. And so this simply tells you that if you look at the first target, which is 137 billion, and the target that government actually worked with to get that 85% success rate, then the difference between the initial target and the target that was really, utilized in the DDEP, the difference was around 40 billion Ghana cedis. So just by government's decisions to, exclude some people, which according to the finance ministry, these people were allowed to, trade their bonds for treasury bills. There were some other people that were also deemed not, qualified to participate in this DDEP. And so all of these people were excluded, and the government had to forgo 40 billion Ghana cedis. Now, after this, remember the governor made it very clear today that the finance ministry went to IMF and, they saw the target and all of that, and they realized that without they going to the Bank of Ghana for them to suffer a haircut of 50%, there was no way that we were going to meet that threshold of 55% debt to GDP ratio. And so the Bank of Ghana had to come in to take a haircut of almost 48.8 billion Ghana cedis.
They've made this point before.
Exactly. So governments went around some 40 billion cedis, and then goes to Bank of Ghana to say, if you don't rescue us with a haircut of 48.8 billion cedis, we will not be able to get the IMF program. So the question we are asking is, government allow some people to trade their bonds for treasury bills. In fact, it said some people were excluded. Individual bondholders were excluded, but later on we realized all of those people were roped into the program and asked to come and exchange. So for going 40 billion just by exemption and going to Bank of Ghana to take a haircut of 48.8 billion, we are asking, was it an easy way that government felt it was going to use to get to that 55% threshold?
Was it not to protect probably the individuals who had invested in the economy and who were not willing to be part of the program, and say that, well, the easy thing is for the state to take on this debt, and allow the individuals to keep the investment?
The trump card was that it was time for burden sharing.
Exactly.
So if it's burden sharing, then it means that you need to share the burden in a certain way that somebody doesn't carry the entire burden, or it doesn't look like some people are walking freely. And we need clarity on those who were allowed to trade their bonds for treasury bill. That's all we're asking. We need clarity on that, and why Bank of Ghana had to take that heavy hit, because we feel that per the data, if government had gone ahead with that initial target of 137 billion Ghana cedis, I am simply not sure Bank of Ghana would have gone ahead to take that heavy hit of close to 50 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay. Now, Dr. Ernest Addison, who is governor of the central bank, has been addressing some matters related to the bank's activities today.
National capital market for new financing immediately triggered a liquidity crisis for government, spilling over into a balance of payments crisis, as the country had to continue to honor its debt service obligations, energy payments, and import bill. In keeping up with these critical external payments, the Bank of Ghana lost $500 million in external reserves in just 2 months, with no new inflows of foreign currency from the usual annual Eurobond issuance to replenish its reserves. Furthermore, to help address government's liquidity crisis, the bank extended additional overdraft to the government to address auction failures and prevent domestic default, and enabled government to meet domestic debt obligations and other critical payments needed to avoid a disorderly halt to economic activity. Throughout the first half of 2022, there was no new foreign financing until July, when the Afri-Exim Bank stepped in to support with $750 million US. This is a typical replay of what is referred to in the literature as a first-generation macroeconomic and balance of payments crisis. You will recall that many people doubted if the economy was in crisis because they did not hear that interest rates on bonds were not being paid in early 2022. They did not see queues at the pump for petrol and diesel. There were no shortages of international essential items on the market. And they did not hear that public sector workers, including civil servants, the police and the military, were not being paid their salaries. The reason was that the Bank of Ghana had provided the needed support to keep the economy going. These are the circumstances that led government to approach the IMF for support in July 2022. The IMF immediately sent in a mission to assess the economic situation. The mission concluded that the economy was at a tipping point, and it was agreed with the understanding of the IMF that the Bank of Ghana should continue to provide the necessary support to keep the economy running until a reform program had been put in place, which will trigger IMF financing. The portrait painted above of the Ghanaian economy in 2022 was similar to what pertained in many other frontier and emerging market economies. Key among countries with similar experiences were Egypt, Argentina, Turkey, Kenya, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, just to mention a few. What separated these countries and their ability to hold their economies until a package of reforms were introduced was the availability of policy buffers and resilience of key policies.
So that was the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Ernest Addison there. Now let's bring you something that's sad and shocking. The tragic phenomenon of children taking their own lives is a heart-wrenching issue that has become increasingly prevalent in recent years. These young ones are extinguished far too early, leaving families, communities, and the country in general to grappling with the aftermath. According to experts, from the mental health struggles of these children to the excessive academic pressure driven by high expectations from parents or educational institutions can push children to the brink. In part 2 of our hotline documentary, Whispers in the Dark, my colleague Ohim Interior delves into what pushes some children to take their own lives and explores the vital roles parents and educational institutions and institutions of state can play in preventing these tragic losses.
Jared was a stellar student and academically disciplined who maintained an academic GPA of 4.0. He was awarded a Triton College Scholarship Program scholarship after high school in 2019. His parents and siblings, who are yet to come to terms with his death, have been left in a state of confusion.
Death is death, but suicide death is a different death. Why is it different? Because the loved ones left behind are left to ponder as to why. You can blame it on anybody but yourself or somebody. So that's why it makes it a unique death. If somebody killed or if they had a car accident, you can just say, oh, he was on his way to a different town and then he got, rear-ended or T-boned by another vehicle, and so he died of a motor vehicle accident. But in this case, it's unique, and you just wonder, what was the person experiencing, right? Why were you not available? What could you have done differently to have helped the person? And then you just keep wondering. It never ends. And the pain, I just can't describe.
Little did the family know Jared, described as a complete student, was battling with depression, a mental health condition from his teenage days, something he kept from his relatives.
He did actually start experiencing that, and he never discussed it. But just combing through his stuff and some of the notes that he had left, was able to confirm that he was battling depression and suicidal thoughts, and he didn't know how to share it. But I quite remember that he was, although he was very enthusiastic, he was one of the kids that was very shy and almost very isolative in most instances. So all the time I had to call him to come out and do stuff. But I never connected the dots, because he came out, he'll do what he needs to do. But I didn't realize that when he was alone, he was struggling with his mind. He was battling his mind, and he was in a really, really dark place that he never disclosed.
There is, however, hope for people with suicidal ideation and other mental health issues. The Mental Health Authority has introduced a life-saving intervention by offering persons who require psychosocial support the opportunity to call and receive instant advice from mental health experts. The call comes at no cost to callers. Health Minister Kwekwaji Maimenu says he's aware there has been an upsurge in the number of suicide cases involving children.
We are very much aware. We have a whole agency that works in that, Mental Health Authority. Some time back, this thing was coming up. There was an upsurge. And the chief executive of that authority actually had to talk to the nation and things like that. We need to get some reports from them at the moment.
Whilst promising an action on the situation, Mr. Menu, who is also a member of parliament for Doma Central, described as prompter details of our findings on how lives of children are being lost to suicide.
We have created what we call the Psychology Council, It is working now. We are registering psychologists. Some of these challenges we need to resolve with some psychology advice and things like that. So we are head on with that. But you see, there are certain things that you wouldn't know immediately when it's mental disorders until something happens. But I think this is a prompter. We'll see how we can reconcentrate and put attentions in that respect.
So the full documentary plays tonight at 8:30 p.m. Do make a date. So let me take you to a festival for which has become something that people look forward to. But the name is one that depends on where you're coming from. You mentioned it some way, but it is Chale Wote. So this year, this is a festival of arts and culture. So people paint the street. They bring art, you look at it, there's a cultural display. But there's something unique about this year, because this year it's moving to a place that is regarded as part of Ghana's history. You cannot tell history, the country's history, without mentioning that place. It's Osu. My colleague Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa is there now. Let's join her for update on what is happening there. The event is happening today till 27th of this month. So Jacqueline, you are there. What's happening?
All right, Brace. So currently we are here at the Osu Castle, and the procession is about to begin. Just as you can see, they are all clothed in white, about to start the procession into the main Osu street. So they started not long ago. Initially, there was a bit of registration, and the people were gathering around. And this is also the 13th edition of the Chale Wote Festival. So I have one of the members here who will just give me a brief as to what they did earlier. So they poured libation. We just want to know more about it. So, Ni, can you tell me more about what just happened earlier?
We are processing from the Christian Board Castle to the Osu Township. Now, as you can see, we have the Osu Ulomo, who is the principal chief Ulomo of the Osu Stu. Yeah. So, you need to, once you are passing to somebody's house, you need to go to the person's house and ask for permission. Okay,
so that was what you did earlier?
We went there for the Ulomo to pray for us so that it will be a successful procession. Okay. What is going to be any bad or any negative energy should be drive away. Okay. So we went there to pay homage to the ancestors. Okay. So as you can see, we went to the Ulomo's place to pray for us so that we can have a successful procession.
Okay. All right, Ni, I see you have this around your neck. What does it signify? And first of all, what's the name of it?
It's called Isop. But in the local language, you call it Nyanyina.
Nyanyina?
Nyanyina. Okay. Nyanyina, but that is called Isop. We are used to drive away negative energies. As we process through the township, there are some bad and negative energies around. So this is in spirituality, it's used to drive away negative energies and also serve as a cleanser for purification.
All right, sure. So currently, where are we heading to now? Where is
towards to the Osu Township and back to the Christian Board Castle again.
Okay. All right. So just as you heard from Ni, this is going to be a very silent procession. There wouldn't be much noise right now. Everyone is going to be quiet, very, very silent. They're just thanking their gods. That is why they are clothed in white right now. So just as there is going to be much more development, we will definitely come to you. We also have Miss Bell here. Miss Bell, how are you?
I'm okay.
So how do you see the whole procession so far? It just started.
It's spiritual. And it's going well put together.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And what is I see you having this one. Does it mean anything to you?
It's an African accessory, but yes, you can put some cleansing spirits in there. So as we are walking, if the energy doesn't feel right, you cleanse yourself. With it.
All right. So are you going to be here throughout? Because it's a week-long festivity. How long are you going to be here throughout?
I can't tell because I'm also having an event coming up at my pub. So it will be on and off. But I'll make sure I'm here most of the time to have the Chale Wote feel.
Okay. All right. So just as you heard from Ms. Bell, the Chale Wote festival just began and is a very quiet procession. So we are joining them to get to the Osu Township itself. And just as more develops, we would definitely report on that.
So this beautiful event is on from today till 27th. Be there and let's experience culture in a different dimension. That's Charlie Water for you. Proudly partnered by the Multimedia Group. I mean, we make it happen. Well, my name is Samuel Kojo Braze, and on behalf of the team, I say thank you so much for being with us. But as I end, let me say a special birthday to you, Chairman Alamu of Ghana National Gas Company. Chairman, have a brilliant day. From all of us here at Joy News, it's a happy birthday to you. Good afternoon.